Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about an important topic, Samvidhan Hatya Divas. This was on news on 11 July 2024. Government of India released a notification in the official Gazette of India. This is the official Gazette of India. All the government documents which government releases is executed and seen there. Okay. So Government of India released on official gazette on 11 July 2024 that from onwards from 25 June 1975, this day emergency was imposed in India. Way back in 1975, that emergency was declared in India, and from now onwards, 25 June would be declared as Samvidhan Hatya Divas. Okay, so this notification is related to this. So it is written, Government of India declares 25 June as Samvidhan Hatya Divas. Okay. To pay tribute to all those who have suffered and fought against the gross abuse of power during the period of emergency. So way back in 1975, emergency was imposed in our country. So many people were liberties, life were threatened. So government to pay tribute to such peoples have declared 25 June as Samvidhan Hatya Divas. Okay, and to recommend the people of India to not support in any manner such gross abuse of power in future. So an important day is declared. Today we will understand what is emergency, how many times it is imposed in emergency in this country, what is the effect of the emergency. We will understand today. Okay. Yes. So emergency provision is contained in part 18 of the Constitution. There are total 25 parts in the Constitution. Emergency is in part 18 from article 352 to 360. Emergency provisions are given. So what is emergency? Why it is infamous? Why in 1975 emergency is infamous? We will discuss in this class. So basically there is a power of central government to address any abnormal situation. Central government can tackle any abnormal situation if happening in our country. So emergency gives extra power to the central government. Okay. So the rationality why emergency provision was underlined and made in our constitution was to safeguard the country and safeguards country's sovereignty, unity, and security in all times. And the democratic political system goes and undergone a considerable amount of change when emergency is imposed. During an emergency, the central government becomes all powerful, and the states go into total control of the center during the emergency. So basically, when there is no emergency, for example, there is no emergency as declared for now. There is no emergency in the country. So basically, there is a federal structure in our country. Federalism means division of power between center and the states. And the federal scheme is given under 7th schedule of the Constitution, which incorporates 3 lists: central list, union list, state list, and concurrent list. Okay. So there is a federal change. The government of India changes from federal form to unitary form. Federal form means there is a division between center and states, and unitary form means all powerful central government. So emergency is a special provision. If emergency is implemented, then the federal schemes ends and unitary schemes starts. Understood? Yes. So this kind of transformation of political system from federal during normal times to unitary during emergency is a unique feature of the Indian Constitution. Okay? When comparing with other constitution of this world, we say they are molded tightly into federalism or unitary. There is no such provision in any other constitution in the world that it can change into from federal to unitary. So Indian Constitution has a special provision that incorporates or that gives ample space that it can automatically change from federal to unitary government. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has said about the emergency provision as all federal systems, including American, are placed in tight mode of federalism. Okay, they cannot change their arrangement, no matter what the circumstances are. It cannot change the form and shape. It can never be unitary. Okay, like America. America is a truly federal country. India is criticized that it is not federal. It is quasi-federal. Some people say it is quasi-federal. On the other hand, Constitution of India can be both unitary as well as federal, according to the situation and time. Okay. So how many types of emergencies are there? Constitution talks about three types of emergency. Okay. The word emergency as such is used only for the national emergency. So first type is called national emergency, proclaimed on three grounds: war, external aggression, and armed rebellion. It is given under Article 352. It is called proclamation of emergency. Okay. The second type of emergency as such is emergency due to the failure of the constitutional machinery in the states. It is also called as president rule. And the third type of emergency is financial emergency. Okay, it is given under Article 360. Four articles gap is there. Okay, so this national emergency is imposed in country three times. Only three times it is imposed. National emergency. Talking about state emergency or president rule, it has been imposed more than 100 times in this country. Different states. Okay. For example, Maharashtra. For example, Uttar Pradesh. It is imposed. And there is a financial emergency. It has not been imposed any time in this country. There was a situation in 1990s that financial credit was threatened, but it was not imposed. But our constitution has three types of emergency incorporated. So this is a chart easily understand this. So national emergency, the main topic, because the Samvidhan Hatya Divas is related to the imposition of national emergency. Okay, on 25 June 1975, national emergency was imposed in this country. All the opposition leaders were arrested, and there was no civil rights to the people, like right to move anywhere, right to speech. All was threatened during the time of when Indira Gandhi was PM. For the remembrance of that infamous day, 25 June has been declared as Samvidhan Hatya Divas. You are writing all the points? Okay. So national emergency. Why it is imposed? And who imposed national emergency? Here it is written, President can declare national emergency when security of India or any part. It can be security of whole of the country or any part. For example, Punjab, Manipur, Myanmar near border states. So if any part is also threatened, then emergency can be imposed on three grounds. These grounds are war, external aggression, and armed rebellion. There are three grounds. President can declare even before the actual appearance. If, for example, Pakistan want to declare the war in India, there are such situations that Pakistan could declare a war. Then President, without Pakistan declaring the war, can impose national emergency. Okay. So here it is written before the actual appearance. It could also be imposed. Proclamation of emergency may be applicable to entire country or any part. Okay. For example, if Article 352 is imposed, it is not mandatory that it would be applicable to the whole of the country. It could be applicable to, for example, Punjab, for example, Manipur. It is possible. It can be imposed on part also. Then the thing is internal disturbance. Originally, the Constitution mentioned internal disturbance. The original text, which was written by the Constituent Assembly and passed on enforced on 26 January 1950. Then the original text of emergency provision was war, external aggression, and internal disturbance. There was no such ground as armed rebellion. Third ground was internal disturbance. And the most infamous emergency was imposed on this ground only. And the ground of internal disturbance is too vague and had a wider connotation. Okay? Too vague means that internal disturbance could be anything. For example, Manipur, there is issues, there is ethnic conflict between two tribes. So basically, internal disturbance was too vague a ground to be specified. So through 44th Amendment Act of the Constitution, internal disturbance was removed and it was replaced with armed rebellion. Okay? Because this was too vague a ground. Anything would be an internal disturbance. For example, there is too wide protest. For example, farmers protest. Government can say that this is internal disturbance and it can impose emergency. So for betterment, 44th Amendment removed this ground, internal disturbance, and substituted it with armed rebellion. Okay. And on whose recommendation President imposes emergency? It is written recommendation from the cabinet. What is cabinet? It is a group, smaller group within Council of Ministers. For example, there are 72 Council of Ministers currently in the country. Okay, but there are only 31 cabinet ministers in the country. So cabinet minister is top ranking Council of Ministers in easy terms. So when Council cabinet advises President, then only national emergency can be imposed, and not merely on the advice of the Prime Minister. मोदी जी जाके कहते हैं कि इमरजेंसी लगाना, तो ऐसा नहीं लगेगा unless and until whole cabinet, the 31 members जाके खुद कहेंगे, then only emergency can be imposed. हुआ क्या कि जब इमरजेंसी 1975 में यहाँ लगाई गई, तो केवल किसने एडवाइस किया? प्राइम मिनिस्टर इंदिरा गांधी, बिकॉज उन्होंने ही एडवाइस किया और प्राइम मिनिस्टर को एक्सेस पावर मिल जाएगी, इसलिए प्रोविजन को 44th अमेंडमेंट से डाला गया कि देयर शुड बी अ रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ द कैबिनेट, not only of the Prime Minister alone. Understood? So the 44th Amendment Act introduced this provision. And when emergency is declared, what happens when emergency is declared? Does Parliament approve emergency or not? For example, Parliament is sitting today. There is budget presentation going on. Okay. So does Parliament, if emergency is imposed, for example, Cabinet Minister goes. All the cabinet minister advises President to impose the national emergency. Does Parliament have to approve it or not? Then the question arises. We can see the proclamation of emergency must be approved by both houses of Parliament within 1 month. For example, on 25 June it is declared, then it should be approved within 25 July by both houses of the Parliament. Otherwise, emergency cannot go on. Okay? So Parliament approval is necessary. Originally, the period was for 2 months. 44th Amendment Act reduced it for 1 month. Clear? पहले 2 मंथ में अप्रूवल कराना था इमरजेंसी का, पर अभी कितने मंथ में कराना है? 1 मंथ में कराना है. रीजन क्या है इसका? क्योंकि आपको जल्द से जल्द, क्योंकि एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑल पावरफुल हो जाएगी, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ऑल पावरफुल हो जाएगी. सो एटलीस्ट आपको, बिकॉज इमरजेंसी इज बीइंग इम्पोज्ड बाय कैबिनेट ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ कैबिनेट. Cabinet is the executive form of the government, and Parliament is legislative form of the government. Okay, Parliament represents both people from the government side and opposition side. Then, hence, it is necessary that emergency should be approved by Parliament. So, approval would be done in 1 month. 1 month के अंदर इसका approval लेना पड़ेगा. Clear? If approved by both houses of Parliament, it continues for 6 months. तो कैसे स्टेजेस हो रहे हैं? पहले प्रेसिडेंट किसकी एडवाइस पे कर रहे हैं? काउंसिल ऑफ कैबिनेट की एडवाइस पे. कैबिनेट की एडवाइस के बाद इमरजेंसी लग तो सकती है, पर कितने महीने तक? मैक्सिमम 1 मंथ. 1 मंथ के विदिन क्या लेना उसका? पार्लियामेंट्री अप्रूवल. और पार्लियामेंट्री अप्रूवल अगर मिल गया तो कितने मंथ तक एक्सटेंड होगी? 6 मंथ तक. ओके, दिस इज द प्रोसेस. So this periodical parliamentary approval was also added by 44th Amendment. Earlier, it should, if it was approved one time, it didn't need to have any periodical approval. Now every 6 month emergency should be approved for extending this period. Okay. So how the approval is done? It is written special majority. Special majority is a thing that how the constitution is also amended under article 368. प्रोसीजर जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंड करने का, वही अप्रूवल कराने का भी प्रोसीजर है. वो प्रोसीजर क्या है? मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द टोटल मेंबरशिप ऑफ द हाउस एंड मेजॉरिटी ऑफ नॉट लेस देन 2/3 ऑफ द मेंबर्स प्रेजेंट एंड वोटेड. सो आई विल गिव एन एग्जांपल कैसे होगा ये. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द टोटल मेंबरशिप ऑफ द हाउस, total membership. What is total membership of Lok Sabha? It is 543. And what is the majority of total membership then? 272. Then it is majority of total membership of the House and not less than 2/3 present and voting. It says not less than 2/3 present and voting. So number of two-thirds present and voting should exceed 275. It is same. For example, Lok Sabha in that day Lok Sabha only 450 members are present. 450 members were there in the Lok Sabha. Then 450 का two-thirds कितना होगा? 300. Okay? Then it can be approved. For example, 450 लोग नहीं है, 390 लोग हैं, और 390 का two-thirds फिर कितना हो जाएगा? 260. It cannot be approved. So majority of the total membership of the house and majority of not less than two-thirds present and voting. So for Rajya Sabha also it would be changed. In Rajya Sabha total membership is 245. 245 members are there. Majority is 123. So number needed is more than 123 for the approval from Rajya Sabha. And this process is same for Article 368. Or Article 368 is amendment of the Constitution. And total how many amendments are there? 106. You got the provision? Understood? So earlier only simple majority was needed. Now it is special majority. Okay? Revocation of proclamation. How it can be revoked? How emergency once imposed and how revoked? So emergency is imposed by president. Who can revoke it? President only. So it is written. A proclamation of emergency may be revoked by president by a subsequent proclamation. Proclamation for imposing and proclamation for revoking. He can also he or she can also remove also president must revoke a proclamation if the Lok Sabha passes a resolution disapproving its continuation. If Lok Sabha wants or the parliament wants, president have to revoke the national emergency. And this safeguard was also introduced by 44th Amendment Act of 1978. Okay. Earlier, once approval was done by the parliament, there was no process that parliament can revoke. But now Lok Sabha can revoke national emergency by passing a resolution. Okay. What is the effect of national emergency? क्या होगा अगर देश में क्या लग जाए नेशनल इमरजेंसी? अभी तो नहीं है. पिछली बार कब लगी थी? 1975. 1975 में पिछली बार इमरजेंसी कंट्री में लगी थी. ठीक. और भी दो बार लग चुके हैं, 1962 एंड 1971. टोटल कितनी बार लगे हैं? 3 times. Total it has been imposed 3 times. Okay. अब reason why 1975 emergency was imposed, and it is the most black emergency, you can say black day of the constitution when 1975 emergency was imposed, because when in 1962 it was imposed, there was a war with China. India-China war was in 1962, and when 1971 it was imposed, there was India-Pakistan war. But was there any war in 1975? No. There was no war in 1975. Okay. Then why 1975 emergency was imposed? The reason is Indira Gandhi contested election from Allahabad. Allahabad is a Lok Sabha seat in Uttar Pradesh. She contested her Lok Sabha election from Allahabad. She won the election. But the second candidate questioned her election in the High Court of Allahabad. Allahabad High Court, he questioned. His name was Raj Narayan. Raj Narayan questioned her election on the ground that Indira Gandhi has used her power government machinery, which you cannot use. Government cannot help a candidate winning or losing the election. But Indira Gandhi has influenced the election of Allahabad Lok Sabha. Her election was struck down by the Allahabad High Court. Allahabad High Court declared her Lok Sabha election as void or invalid. So she cannot become a prime minister because her election was invalid. She appealed the case to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court was, while hearing the matter of her election petitions, she imposed an emergency on vague ground called internal disturbance. She said there is an internal disturbance in the country and she imposed an emergency on 1975. The sole reason was that because she lost the election petition which was filed against her and her candidature was in danger. Her Lok Sabha candidature was in danger. So she imposed emergency in the year 1975. And this is the most black emergency in this country. So what happened when emergency is imposed is, first there are few relations changes. First is effect of the center-state relation. Second is effect of the life of the Lok Sabha and Assembly. And third is effect on the fundamental rights. Effect on central-state relations. What is center-state relation? Center has powers on making some laws. State has power on making some laws. And these powers are given under 7th schedule. 7th schedule defines that how the power between center and state is governed. So what happens when emergency is imposed? It is said executive power of center extends to directing any state regarding manner in which executive power is to be exercised. So central government is directing the state government how it should exercise its powers. In normal times, central government doesn't give any such direction. Okay. When emergency is imposed, central government directs state government. Okay. How to exercise their power? The first relation is that it changes. Second changes. During emergency, Parliament is empowered to legislate on the state list. State list, 7th schedule. List number 2 is called state list. On state list, only who can make law? State government, not the central government. But when in this country national emergency is imposed, who can make law on the state list? Parliament. Parliament can make law on the state list. Central government or Parliament can make law on the state list. So there is a legislative change. There is a financial changes also. What is financial relation between center and states? How revenue is shared. How revenue is shared between center and states, it is called financial relation. Revenue means income tax. जितना इनकम टैक्स आया कितना किसको मिलेगा? सेंटर को और स्टेट्स को. कितना जीएसटी मिलना है? ये सब क्या है? फाइनेंशियल रिलेशन बिटवीन सेंटर एंड स्टेट्स. सो फाइनेंशियल रिलेशन किसके रिकमेंडेशन पे होता है? फाइनेंस कमीशन. There is a finance commission, a body, constitutional body given under Article 280. और Article 280 के अंदर जो body है, it decides how revenue should be shared between central and state government. For example, the current finance commission has given the formula 42%. So 42% of what is collected by center goes to the states. Okay. So, for example, in country, national emergency is imposed. Center has to give how much percent? 42. For example, if emergency is imposed, central government can give 22%. It can reduce automatically the amount it is given to the states. It cannot reduce this amount in normal time. Okay? So you understood this change? Next, on the life of the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assembly. Life of the Lok Sabha means 5-year term. Lok Sabha is elected for 5-year term. 18 Lok Sabha, for example, is elected for 5-year term. For example, in this country, national emergency is imposed. Then this 5-year term could be increased by 1 year. It could be 6 years then. It could be 7 years also, if national emergency is imposed. Clear? So there could be extension on the life of Lok Sabha and State Assembly, which is normally how much? 5 years. It could be extended to 6 years and 7 years also. Clear? What effects are given to our fundamental rights? Fundamental rights get hampered in very serious amount when emergency is imposed. For example, when emergency is imposed, Article 358 of the Constitution states Article 19. Article 19 is what? Right to speech, right to association, right to movement, right to reside is automatically suspended. Article 19 is automatically suspended. कहीं घूमने का, कहीं कुछ बोलने का, गवर्नमेंट इन सबको आपके क्या कर सकती है? कंट्रोल कर सकती है. आपके पास कुछ बोलने का हक वहां पर नहीं रहेगा और गवर्नमेंट आपको आपकी स्पीच के ग्राउंड पे आपको जेल में भी डाल सकती है. So when national emergency is imposed, Article 19 automatically gets suspended. बहुत बड़ा इसका रिपरकशन होगा. Article 19 सस्पेंड हो गया. And also Article 359 states when emergency is imposed, any of the fundamental rights can be suspended. For example, 14, 15, 16, 22, 23, any of the fundamental rights, 25, it could be suspended by President declaring a specific resolution. So 358 simply states emergency comes, 19 gone. 359 says President can suspend any other fundamental right. Article 19 is already gone. President can suspend any other fundamental right except Article 20 and 21. Article 20 and 21 can never be suspended. Article 21 is right to life and liberty. Okay? These two rights can never be suspended. But except these two rights, President can suspend any of the other fundamental rights. So how many declarations have been made so far? Just I told 1962, 1971 and 1975. The first two proclamation in 1962 and 1972, one was on the ground of external aggression, while third was made on the ground of internal disturbance. No such ground exists in the Constitution today because it was removed from 44th Amendment Act. It was removed as a ground for imposition of national emergency. Clear? After the emergency was removed in 1977, so the period extended from 1975 to 1977. There was already an emergency of 1971 which was not removed. The both were emergency were removed in 1977, and when elections were held in Lok Sabha in 1977, Congress party lost the election. Which party came? Janata Party came, and Janata Party appointed a commission called as SAR Commission to investigate the emergency matter, and it said that there was no justification of declaring an emergency on that day in 1975. And later 44th Amendment Act came, which gives numerous safeguards regarding the emergency. What are the numerous safeguards? For example, there was ground of internal disturbance was removed because it was vague. Then second thing was periodic parliament approval. Second thing was periodic parliament approval. Earlier there was once approved, there was no periodic approval. Also the safeguard was cabinet advice and not the advice of PM. So these were safeguards introduced by 44th Amendment. कि वापस ऐसे emergency ना आए. And also one major thing, Article 20 and 21 could never be suspended, even if there is emergency in this country. Who added this provision? 44th Amendment. जब इंदिरा गांधी गवर्नमेंट ने इमरजेंसी लगाई थी तो एक बहुत इनफेमस केस हुआ, द केस इज नोन एज एडीएम जबलपुर केस. इस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला कि इमरजेंसी के ड्यूरेशन में आर्टिकल 20 और 21 भी सस्पेंड हो जाए. यानी राइट टू लाइफ भी लोगों के पास नहीं है. कोई पुलिस वाला आके किसी को शूट कर दे अपने पर्सनल वेंडेटा में तो भी उसके अगेंस्ट केस नहीं किया जा सकता ड्यूरिंग द इमरजेंसी, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इस केस में इस बात को मान भी लिया. तो बहुत एक्सेस टॉर्चर किया गया था कंट्रीज में जब क्या लगाई गई थी 1975 में इमरजेंसी. जनता गवर्नमेंट ने इमरजेंसीज को क्या किया, थोड़ा लिबरल किया अप्रोच, और 1975 के बाद फिर इमरजेंसी नहीं लगी. देश के बहुत सारे पॉलिटिशियन जेल गए इंक्लूडिंग मोदी जी. उनका एक आप स्केच देख सकते हो, वो स्केच है जिसमें मोदी जी एक सरदार के देश में थे। जितने बड़े लीडर्स आप देखते हैं उस टाइम के सब जेल के अंदर थे, कोई बाहर नहीं था, कोई राइट्स लोगों के पास नहीं थे। यहाँ स्टूडेंट लीडर, आप बड़े लीडर को छोड़ दीजिए पॉलिटिशियंस को, इवन द स्टूडेंट लीडर कहां पर थे देश में? जेल के अंदर। और वो गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ कोई वॉइस इसलिए नहीं रख सकते क्योंकि आर्टिकल 19 इज सस्पेंडेड, ऑटोमेटिक इमरजेंसी लगी, आर्टिकल 19 क्या हुआ? सस्पेंड हो गया। सो ये एक्सेस है, गवर्नमेंट की पावर का एक्सेस कहां हमको देखने को मिलता है? इमरजेंसी। इसीलिए 1975 के बाद आज तक इमरजेंसी दोबारा नहीं लगाई गई, और गवर्नमेंट ने उस एक्सेस को रिकॉग्नाइज करते हुए क्या डिक्लेयर किया है अभी? संविधान हत्या दिवस, when the most infamous emergency was imposed in 1975. Thank you.